Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this 1 hour with me. You know I do appreciate that. Shannon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here with you, as always.
I love to hear that, as always.
Brings a little light to my Thursday.
Absolutely. But, man, did we have a crazy Super Bowl or what?
It was nuts. I got to say, at the end of the game, I was exhausted.
Right.
But, I was glued to it the entire time.
It was like exceptional. So, look, I brought my brother here from Generation Radio who's going to give us a little 30-second football synopsis because nobody can do it like he can.
Well, politics done right. Here we are. Check this out. This is what I think happened that day.
What happened?
There was a lot of experience involved.
Yes.
Bad time management from the other side because the moments that they had the football, they didn't know what to do with it. I really believe the experience just took over. It was just they were outplayed in several ways because of experience. They had the power, they had the manpower, they had the will to do it, but at the end they just couldn't get it done. That's what happened.
Let me tell you, brother, why I wanted our audience, even though we're a political show, to hear that is because I wanted them to know that we don't want to be have the behavior of the Atlanta Falcon. We already proved that we have the skills of the Atlanta Falcon, but if we don't have the throughput, if we don't have the performance of the Brady and the team, we will lose.
Exactly.
So what the motto with having you give that what do you call it? Soliloquy. It's to say, folks, soliloquy. You know me, you know my accent. Anyhow, the reason we want to say that is, folks, we need to be like Brady. We need to be like New England with the spirit of Atlanta.
Man, it was a tough situation for them, but at the end of the day, experience came up in factor, the time, and just good management, man.
Absolutely,
all of those things. So if I guess to narrow all this into just one word, that's what experience does. When you have experience, you're able to encompass all those things and work through them and come out at the end winning.
Well, as a part of our KPFT family, why don't you tell folks who you are and a little bit about your show before we get on to the program?
Okay, I'm DJ FX Box. I'm the latest addition to Generation Radio. I've been with the guys for about a year and a couple of months. I enjoy KPFT, the programming here, and that's why I'm doing this, because I really enjoy it. I really enjoy all the shows. I've gotten to listen to pretty much all of them, and I really enjoy them. This is one of my favorites, actually, and I just love doing this, man. This is what I love to do.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Needed to have you here because we had to speak a little bit of Super Bowl.
Of course.
But my dear brothers and sisters that are listening to this show, we are going to get busy, and my brother here is going to be taking off.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace out. Anyhow, folks, let's get busy. As you all know, the big new thing is the repeal of Obamacare. But we know the dangers of that. So we're going to talk about that. We're talking Obamacare. We will try to inform the Trump voter and everybody else that we have much in common on this issue. But before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, My favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Babawi. Every Monday at 7 p.m.
Then we have Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m.
And of course, the show that you do, which is Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg. Every Friday at 3 p.m. we like to engage in colorful conversation.
And of course, we have Open Journal with
Marlo Blue, Dwayne Bradley, and Hedy Von Bogle. That is every weekday at 8 a.m.
And then don't forget, Jazz Latino Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores every Monday at 10 p.m.
You know, you always kind of little struggle with that 10 p.m. It's like, well, let me think when it is at 10 p.m. because he does it on.
I can't just feed every one of them just like that. I have to have a little bit of suspense, right?
Well, but you're good. You know that. You know that. Absolutely so. But anyhow, we have The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by the Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Hello, Curtis. Hello, Mike Jones. Hello, Jason. And let's see who else. If I miss you, forgive me. Anyhow, folks, check out our that is on Facebook Live. You can also watch us on Facebook Live in the studios. Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics of medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, valuable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by the corporatocracy. This is KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. So let's talk. I'll also be following our hashtag Politics Done Right, as well as my Twitter account, Egberto Willies. Please do remember to go to our Facebook page, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies, and like the page. Let's make sure that you're informed anytime we have a new show out. Every time we're putting things out, go like the page. Of course, you can call here at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. If you want to get on air, you will be on air. But folks, before I go, I want to remind you, I'm going to go to the blog of the week right now. But beforehand, I want to tell you guys, this is community radio. In this time of Trump, you need to have what we call resistance radio. What do we call it, Shannon?
Resistance Radio.
We are now KPFT 90.1 FM is your resistance radio. If you want to ensure that Donald J. Trump's policies are countered, if you want to ensure that we don't allow the American citizens to be snowed by Donald J. Trump, remember, you must be a part of Resistance Radio. You must be a part of KPFT 90.1 FM. So please, please, please visit kpft.org and make sure that we are completely funded to remain on air. Become a member of this station. Remember, as a member of this station, this is your station. You own this station. You can come into this station just like DJ comes in and sits and gets a mic and we talk. You can as well. Let me give a shout out to the Indivisible Movement. To the Indivisible Movement. You guys have much to offer. You guys have much to offer to the entire state, to the entire country. Please do remember that this is also your radio station. And when you have issues that must be gotten out there, where you have activities you want your people to come to, we are here for you. Community radio. But folks, guess what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. Today, the blog post is titled Message to Trump Supporters on Obamacare. Guess what? You get sick too. And I really want you folks to listen to this message. It's a bit longer than normal, so I'll read it a bit faster, but I want you to keep posted, get involved. Anyway, it goes as follows. Many voted for Trump to shake things up. They believed that things could not get worse and hoped it would get better. While Trump is the manifestation the opposition has focused on, it is the GOP using his electoral college win to create policies that will hurt most Americans. And when I say most Americans, I mean most Americans, including the voters who voted for Donald J. Trump. So folks, let's really be factual. Let's really talk to people where it touches their hearts. Let's really start speaking to people, not accusatorily in some accusatory fashion, but to let them know we're all in the same boat together. Obamacare premiums and deductible are high for many. However, any cheaper proposals based on removing regulations will kill or bankrupt Americans, irrespective of them being progressive or conservative or Democrat or Republican or other. We're in the boat together. This message is not meant to be condescending to my Trump brothers and sisters. It is easy for us to go at each other's throats as establishment politicians pit us against each other. There is a purpose. If we are fighting each other, then we can't see that the pilfer is bipartisan. In my humble opinion, as a Democrat, I do think one side is more humane than the other, but that is not what I want to address here. I want us to fight for a public good that affect us all equally and should not be ideological. I am not one who believes all Trump supporters are racists. I know many. Hell, I have relatives who voted for Trump. I will admit, I simply cannot understand how anyone can look at the man, what he has said and done to women, what he has said about the other, and still vote for him. But that is one water under the bridge. I care too much about all of us. And by all of us, I'm not talking about my liberal brethren. I'm talking about my conservative brethren. I'm talking about my right-wing brethren. I'm talking about every part of this country. I care too much to consider or to be bothered by that. We just have to remember that. I simply cannot understand how anyone voted for him now, but that is water under the bridge. I care too much about all of us to make it a personal grudge, except for the sect of his supporters that are in fact white supremacists. Now, health is something that knows no political inclinations. We all want to be fixed if we get sick. Please do not buy into the fallacy that Obamacare was a government takeover of healthcare. This should have been fought hard from the beginning before it metastasized into many of our right-wing brothers and sisters' heads. Not because your anti-Obamacare politician says it is, means it is true. You interact with your healthcare system through your doctor, your hospital, and your drugstore. Your doctor works for herself or himself or for a private corporation. Your hospital is a private corporation. Your drugstore is a private corporation. The drug companies that supply the drugs to the drugstore are private corporations. The companies that supply the tools to the hospitals are private corporations. The supplies used in the doctor's offices are private corporations. The insurance companies that pay the bills are private corporations. It cannot be a government takeover if the system is run almost entirely by the private sector via private corporations and private doctors. Before Obamacare, there were much fewer rules governing what these corporations could do. Corporations are profit centers. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make a profit for the people who own the corporation, the shareholders. As such, they always try to minimize their cost. Obamacare is mostly a body of rules, regulations, and taxes intended to ensure that the service they provide falls within guidelines, the ultimate goal being the good health and safety of every American citizen. It is no different than the government mandating a speed limit through research to keep us relatively safe on the roads. It is no different than the government making some substances illegal to prevent unnecessary deaths. Obamacare ensures that everyone has access to health care. Most Republican politicians hate regulations. So they tell Americans that regulations are responsible for most of our problems. Most regulations came into being because before them, people were hurt. Think about all the regulations that cleaned up the environment. Think about all the regulations that made sure they couldn't sell you junk. Think about all the regulations that people use to prevent others from giving you substances that could kill you, from snake oil salesmen and that sort of thing. Before Obamacare, you could buy insurance that was worthless. The premiums were cheap, but at the time you needed to use it, many found them useless because they excluded just about everything. Obamacare ensures women do not pay more than men for health insurance. The law ensures an insurance company cannot cancel your policy when you get sick. It makes sure that no one can be denied health insurance because of a pre-existing condition. It makes sure that your coverage includes yearly early screenings and much more. In other words, Obamacare set a baseline of health care requirements to ensure a fairly healthy population. It is true. It is absolutely true. This meant that the market for cheap insurance was dead. It was assassinated. It was terminated. It was something that needed to be done. The reality, the cheap insurance cost the entire system more, either because the person owning the cheap insurance either remained without care or was ultimately subsidized by us all. Meaning, while we gave profits to these corporations who sold cheap insurance, we, the taxpayer, ended up paying the bill for those people who eventually could not use the insurance that they bought. In other words, the bill got paid by all of us who had good insurance. If you listen to the debate between Senator Sanders and Ted Cruz, it is important to read between the Ted Cruz's lines. He wants to give you choices. He wants to give you freedom. Do you know, or do you want the choice of buying either water with lead or water without, or do you want safe water? When Republican politicians talk about choices, it isn't your choice. It isn't your choice. It is a choice. It is a corporations given a choice to sell you crappy insurance that make them a profit with no risk. In other words, it is asking, your choice is really allowing somebody to sell you something that could kill you or something that is worthless. That's not really your choice. That is a false choice. It is not surprising that after fact checking, it turned out Ted Cruz mostly lied. Typical. The only way all these different policies can seem bad is that if you are lied to. And I'm telling to every single American right now, when it comes to health, the healthcare system, most of your politicians have been lying to you. They like to play up the Obama's big lie. If you like your insurance, you can keep it, or if you like your doctor, you can keep the doctor. That wasn't quite accurate. But it should have said, if you like your doctor and you're willing to pay the price at whatever cost for that doctor, you could keep it. That would have been a truer statement. But here's the deal. The other side of the coin says you can be left without insurance. You can die. Okay? That is the reality. Obamacare is a market solution to our health insurance problems. Listen, it is a Republican plan implemented by Mitt Romney in Massachusetts and designed by the Conservative Heritage Foundation. The reason the Republican politicians have not been able to come up with a replacement plan over the last 7 years is that it is their plan implemented by a Democrat. How can you come up with a plan when the plan implemented was what you wanted in the first place? The failures of Obamacare that need fixing is not unexpected. Obamacare was just a start. It was always known that a market solution is by definition more inefficient. Money is going to profits, or money is not going to pay a health care bill or it actually increases premiums. That is a fact. Healthcare is not one of those things that are suited for the market. The market is not a humane entity, and we can talk about that later on. Ask yourself a question. Ask yourself a question. Why do we need hundreds of insurance companies and plans to pay a medical bill? Why pay for all that complexity, that overhead to pay a bill? Wouldn't it be easier to have one entity paying every medical bill? It isn't rocket science. The reason why is that those hundreds of corporations see it as easy money. They collect premiums, take some off the top for CEOs, shareholders, advertising friends, and more, and much more. The rest then pay a bill. They do something called risk management to attempt to ensure only healthy people, to make sure they can keep more of your premiums. That is why you need risk management. It's a false thing. Now, suppose you did not have to pay hundreds of CEOs, administrators, advertising management of databases, risk management professionals, and more. then your insurance would be cheaper by more than 20%. Medicare for all with a 3% overhead does just that. We should only be fighting for Obamacare repeal if the results were Medicare for all, a single-payer solution that ensures all Americans have health insurance and health care. In fact, that's the only humane thing, folks. That is the only humane thing. Anything short of that gives you different gradations of immorality. We are currently in one of the most immoral healthcare systems, bar none. Immoral. Remember that. Whenever you hear United States a senator talk about our system, just answer the phone or answer the question, and you realize that we're talking about mass immorality in our system here. Mass immorality. You go to church on Sundays, you're sitting down next to one of your neighbors. Your neighbors, 1 in 4 of your neighbors here in Texas at those big churches that you're going to, that you're paying the pastor a ton of money, that person is without insurance. And the thing about it is most of you in those churches are some of the biggest supporters of the repeal to further hurt your fellow man. Think about that, folks. Think about that. Not accusatory, but just a statement of fact. If you enlighten yourself to the reality of health care and how it works, which is what I attempt to do, if you enlighten yourself about it and you're a moral person, you cannot help but come to the appropriate conclusion. But to end the blog post, your ideology does not matter to me. Your party affiliation does not matter to me. What matters is that we do not allow politicians to spin us into bad decisions. Bad decisions on healthcare policy is a death sentence for many. All of us should band together on this one. I don't care if you're a Trump voter. I don't care if you're a Jill Stein voter. I don't care if you're a Clinton voter. I don't care if you're who's the other person? Johnson voter. We should be banding together for this. All of us should band together on this one. First, let us ensure they do not repeal Obamacare. Period. That's the beginning. It's not the best, but it's the stopgap. The progress made thus far. It is progress made thus far. But let's come up with modifications that we can all support. Modifications that we can all support. Folks, the telephone number 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Let's get busy with línea número uno.
Hey, how you doing, Egberto?
Brother John, talk to me.
That was quite eloquent.
Thank you, sir.
About a third of that is my own verbiage. Now, before I get confused,
yes,
I'll stop back what you began with the box and Republicans and sisters and brothers. Great. The reason I call myself Brother John is because there's one race, a human race, and everybody is my brothers and sisters.
Right.
Until we can get down to that common table and feast and break bread together, we will never be able to coalesce correctly and use our anger and our emotions productively.
Absolutely.
Now, on that note, you know David Charles Koch and Paul Ryan through the ALEC and the Heritage Foundation, they're the ones who pick Supreme Court judges. They're the ones that are writing the new health care plan. And, of course, it would be called Trump care.
Right.
Just like they called Romney care, Obamacare.
Right.
Obamacare.
Right.
And the only reason it failed because Mark Rubio put that rider on that little pig rider on that fast-track budget that had to go through that said we didn't have to reimburse the people for pre-existing.
Exactly.
Now, on that note, I'll give you a short synopsis of my situation because I went in pre-existing before the AHA, okay? All I had was an infected gallbladder. This is all I had. They denied my claim and returned my premium. All they had to do was give me an antibody, amoxicillin 500 for 2 weeks. That's all they had to do. They didn't do it. 3.5 years. That infection stayed in me. Back and forth to the hospital. This is all on taxpayer money now at this point. Literally 114 trips. I've got a book. I've marked all this in. Everybody knows me by name. I've had 35 to 40 procedures done at Tomball Hospital. Each time they had to wait till I got critical. Long run short, now I have no pancreas whatsoever. I'm double autoimmune. I'm type 1, which brings an onset glaucoma and neuropathy. So my nerves are slowly dying.
Right.
Nerve damage. I also got a heart attack over the issue. I have a stent, CAD, CHF, high blood pressure for it. Amongst that, COP, my pulmonary has been affected because of that. A third of my liver's gone. Common bowel's gone. A piece of my intestine was rebuilt, and it was surgically cut into. I've spent over 5-6 months in the hospital. Bills accumulated well up over $3.5 million. Then they approved me finally for Medicaid and supplemental security, and then griped at their own lawyers for ever denying it in the beginning.
Let me tell you something, Jenna. Thank you for telling me your story.
That's how it works right now. Right now, it costs the taxpayers 3 times as much to buy me one aspirin.
But you know what's so good? And let me tell you, the plutocracy loves that. The corporations love that, because the more chaos you have in a system, the more profits can be made, because every time you have to bring in these different entities.
Well, right. And the quicker it wears the patient out. Because if I was in a strong little hobbit crud, if I didn't have all this inner what I've been through, most people would have given up by now.
I know, John.
And right now, the mental wards are literally starting to get full for people who are just overstressed by all this. They're worried they're going to die and they're going to lose everything.
John, and that's why.
But if he does cut it off, I only have a week to live, because I have certain I cannot live without
Brother
him.
John.
So I have a stake in this too myself.
Brother John, let me tell you something. Thank you for telling your story. I got to go. The lines are completely filled up. But
I'm glad I could start out that way, so everybody has something to lean on now. I'm going to come back and hear it all.
No. But but don't go yet. Let me just tell you this. I want to tell you thank you for your story. And you are going to have to tell that story over and over again, because that you are living through that. There are thousands, if not millions, of Americans living through that. And what we have to do as a society is let people know that they're not alone, and then also let people know, do not fall for the lies of the right. And that's why we're here at KPFT, and that's what we'll continue to do.
You, my OBGYN is Dr. Samotis. I've been on her show.
I got you, brother. Got to go.
Men to talk and listen. I haven't wrote a theme song. I just got to
Brother
get down
John,
and record it.
Got to go, Brother John. Shannon is.
Hey, I love y'all.
Love you
Shannon.
too, brother.
Talk to Friday.
Love you too, Brother John.
All right.
Yeah, so I was in hospital again, but you know how it goes.
You take care of yourself.
I'll get back to the phone. We'll be listening to you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir.
Peace out, everybody. Love.
Peace. All right. Okay, Shannon, let's have our weather report.
You got it, Egberto. Okay, well, it is currently at 71 degrees and clear sunny skies here in the heart of Montrose. We started out the day 18 degrees cooler than yesterday, and I say thank goodness, because it was a hot 2 days. Didn't feel like February to myself. It was record-breaking at that. And cleared skies tonight with a low around 52. Cloudy with a slight chance of showers tomorrow with a high near 76. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the North Loop eastbound at Shepherd Drive, there's an accident blocking the center lane to left shoulder. That's backing up traffic to Evergreen. And on the Gulf Freeway inbound, there's 2 frontage road lanes blocked off right before Gregg. And on the North Freeway outbound at the North Loop, there's a disabled vehicle affecting the center lane. Traffic is backed up to Telephone. And on the South Sam Houston Tollway westbound at Colon, the right lane and exit ramp are closed due to road construction. That's backing up traffic all the way to Macawa. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to Politics Done right here at KPFT Houston. Back to you, Egberto.
Muchas gracias, muchísimas gracias, Shannon. Let's go to line number, give it to me. Which one do you want to go with?
I think Scott.
Line number 2. Come on in. Scott, come on in. How you doing?
Thank you. Well, I sent a message to Senator Cornyn this morning. I said, Senator Elizabeth Warren has my support. I do not feel chastened either.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. And what you're doing, Scott, is something that is very important, and that is we have to let the Congress people know we're listening. And as much as a lot of us have policies that are against most of the Congress people here in Texas, you represent not only Democrats, not only independents, but I can tell you from experience with talking to a whole lot of Republicans, independents, right-wingers, and anarchists that a lot of people are starting to see the reality right now. And a lot of people in our lines, a lot of people in our protests. In fact, I just came from an Indivisible meeting before I got to the show today, and one of the persons made made it clear that she was no liberal. She said that she is a moderate, and I think she wanted to be clear that she wasn't in effect maybe like some left winger like myself, I guess, but she is in the movement to make sure that our politicians start doing what's right, starting with ensuring that we don't lose the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare by name. So you are correct in what you're doing. So I want to thank you for doing that. And if you ever can leave your house and you want to meet some nice people, just find an indivisible group near you. If you can't, what you're doing on your own, my friend, is exactly what Indivisible asks people to do.
Okay, I'm in the Democratic Club, also in the GLBT political caucus.
Excellent.
Yeah. And, I can confidently say I do not think Cornyn and Cruz speak for all Texans.
Thank you, sir. But, Scott, my lines are filled up, so I got to go. Okay. Thank you so kindly for calling, and thank you for the work you're doing, my friend. Okay? Remember, all we're doing is positive stuff, folks. We don't have to fight. We just have to go out and move forward. Let's go to line number 4 with Laura. Line number 4 with Laura. Laura, you're hot.
Hey, this is LaRon. How you doing, buddy?
LaRon, come on in.
Okay, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to let you comment.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm glad the guy brought up Marco Rubio, because it's what he did in Florida with other people. It's why the prices of health care went up. And the insurance companies start backing up, but nobody wants to talk about that. Now, we live in a country. People need to understand there are consequences when you don't have power of why people are not speaking up. I'm not saying it's right. I understand why they're not. People constantly saying, why don't people speak up about Donald Trump? You see what he's doing. You see what his cabinet is doing.
Right.
Let me give you an example. Remember when this general ordered a training exercise with paratroopers? It was high wind. 14 were killed. Over 30 were hurt. This happened right when Obama came into office.
I don't remember quite that, but tell us the story.
Now, what happened is they quietly eased him out. Why? Because he was a West Point graduate, highly decorated career.
Oh, I got you.
But the one captain that stood up to him is the one that got an Article 15 and was court-martialed.
Right. I understand.
Okay, that's the type of, that's what we have now. Donald Trump believes in revenge.
Right.
Okay, so everybody has to be cautious when they speak up that they want to get the head chopped off.
Now, let me tell you something. First of all, you're right about that. Donald Trump believes in revenge. Secondly, if one person or two people or 3 or 4 people are out against Donald Trump, they're liable to get their heads cut off, or they're liable to acquire his wrath. But here's what I want to tell everybody who's listening to my voice and who will listen to my voice over the Facebook Live, or who will listen to my voice on our podcast, who will listen to my voice on KPFT.org's archive. What we have to do, and this is not difficult to do, is stick together. Because you can destroy one person, but you can't destroy the entire population.
Okay. No, true enough. But this is the road what we have to take.
Yes.
We need the help, and this is where people need to cross the line.
Yes, sir.
We need the help of international power, other countries to speak up. Now, right now, the president, the prime minister of Australia, prime minister of Canada, these people are not afraid.
Right.
Okay, we need something traumatic, something drastic to step in and give aid, because we will need international help with what's going on here before it gets completely out of hand.
And, actually, we have foreign, Angela Merkel has been speaking out. We've also had Prime Minister Trudeau speaking out. And believe it or not, we have folks in Venezuela and other places that we'll never hear of here
absolutely.
speaking
and I'm
out.
going to tell you this, and I'm going to get off and let you go to other callers. I called the BBC and asked them to ask people in England, do they feel the Prime Minister of England have the backbone to stand up against Donald Trump?
Right.
And they said they were going to start asking, and next week sometime they're going to have an answer. They told me to stay tuned.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned. And look, my brother, what was your name again? Because we have it as
Laron.
Laron, I really appreciate your call, and you keep listening, keep calling. And remember, I want to tell everybody that's listening already as well. Tell your friends that there is Resistance Radio here in Houston that covers the entire Southeast Texas and throughout the country and throughout the world over live feed, etc. KPFT 90.1 FM or kpft.org. Advertise our station because we're not going to get a whole lot of this at our mainstream station. So it is important for you guys to share this stuff, okay? All right, let's go to line number 3. My good friend Barry. Come on in, Barry. How you doing, sir?
Oh, look who's here, the most bleeding heart liberal on KPFT, unashamedly, unabashedly so.
Yes, and I love you, Barry.
Read his kumbaya first, and we'll think it through later. Is that right?
Barry, you want me to tell you something? I love you. And you know what's going to be one of the best days of my life? One of the best days of my life is when I'm going to call you up one time, because you call my show a lot. And anybody who calls my show this many times and talks with me, someday I want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you in the flesh. I really mean that. So sometime we're going to have to do that. All right?
Until then, 2 points here. I love the way the Senate Majority Leader took Lizzie to task.
Okay.
Sit down and shut up. And 2, is this the best use of the Democrats' time? What I mean is the time spent going against the Attorney General designate Sessions would have been better spent say, look, the president has the right to pick his own team.
Right.
We do not like Sessions. We would accept him. In return, we want a voice in who becomes the Civil Rights AG and who becomes the Solicitor General. The Solicitor General post is very important.
Right.
It determines which cases the government take to court and which cases they deny.
Right.
Now, the Civil Rights AG, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in new capital could be freed up on complaints filed for illegal discrimination and redlining.
You know, Barry,
so I think that was not the best use of the Democrats'
Barry, you know,
time,
let me tell you something. I'm going to agree with you, Barry, with only I'm going to halfway agree with you and say this. If the Democrats really had a rational partner that would be willing to make a deal like that, which the people from your party, that would be great, Barry. You know what? I love what you just said. You said, why not negotiate? We'll go ahead and pass your thing through, but we want the Solicitor General. We want this.
And the Civil Rights AG.
And you know, Barry, that's a great idea. But here's a problem. Barry, here's a problem. It would never fly.
Well, you can't fly when you got Cory Booker himself, a senator, testifying against us, a fellow senator, to not be AG. The Democrats don't have the numbers. They got to accept that. You got to get it. You got to get what you can now.
Look, Barry, what you're saying is, man, you know, this is one of the most practical calls you've made thus far. Okay.
Republicans are always practical. Go ahead.
Okay, my friend. I'm off to let you go in a minute, but let me just tell you this. That was a practical statement. It isn't going to happen because what we have now is a party, your party. And I know you don't want to accept this, but I'm going to tell you it is a fact. Your party is one of the most intransigent parties to have ever been in existence, not in this country, but in this world. I know you don't accept that, but I can prove that numerically. But Barry, give me a quick closer because I got to go to the next call.
Closing statement is the right is right. King Trump is right. McConnell is right. And 2018, we're going to be even righter. We're trying to take 10 more seats in the Senate, 20 in the House, and 10 more governorships, and relegate the Democrat Party to the insects they are.
Okay, my brother. Wishful thinking, but it'll never happen. But love you, guy. You take it easy, brother. Take care. All right, let's go to line number 5. And Johnny, don't hit Barry too hard. Barry loves to say these kinds of things. Barry loves to be explosive. Come on in, Johnny.
I'm used to it. I'm used to him, believe it or not. But I bet you 2-1 that if you was to present Barry with cold hard facts about chronology of events under the past 5 Republicans, including Trump, even though he's only been there barely 3 weeks as of tomorrow,
right?
Going back to Nixon,
right?
Nixon, Reagan, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., and Trump now,
right?
Okay, these past 50-plus years, each successive Republican president is worse than the previous one.
Yes.
And that sums up what you just said about the Republican Party being intransigent, okay? They truly are. They are intransigence on steroids now. And that's partly why I'm calling. But first, I want to congratulate you for your opening thing about health care. The way you did it was the way it should always be done. Always bring up the money issue because that's what moves everybody, liberals and Republicans.
Right.
We don't need to have bankers pretending to be health insurance people, sifting money out in order to pay the doctors. We can pay them directly through our caseworkers in Washington, D.C. Way more efficient. Get rid of those tens of thousands of risk pools. Go with one gigantic risk pool. It's mathematically sound. There's no other way to do it.
It's the only mathematical answer, but right now I understand that we have to take steps because we have a lot of convincing to do, and that's the reason I ultimately supported Obamacare even without a public option, because I said I was willing to do the work. All of us should be willing to do the work to deprogram all those that believe in the fallacy of a market system for healthcare. Healthcare does not follow the supply and demand methodology that we have within a capitalist system, within a complete market economy. That's a technical fact, right? The thing about it is how do we promote this or enlighten people about this? How do we tell people that you cannot, when I watch TV and I listen to programs that say, you see the new cancer treatment advertised on TV, when you see the new drugs advertised on TV, most of the times I physically get a reaction to that, because equating a product and the benevolence of a product and then something that only those who can afford it will be able to get it, I feel there is something immoral. There's just something wrong there. And so we have to stop thinking about...
Definitely not Christian.
Right. We have to stop thinking about healthcare and healthcare services as a product. You can think about going to a barber as a product. You can think about the service you give to somebody to do their nails as a product. You can think about your shoes as a product. You can think about all these things as products. But the bare necessities in life, from the child that didn't ask to be here, there's just certain things that don't follow the purview of the market system, and we need to be, as a society, learn to subdivide them. I'm not saying kill the capitalist system. I'm saying use the capitalist system as what it should be, a tool. You use it as a tool for certain issues, and where we want the commons or the public system to work. As for everything else, it's not rocket science, and it's not trying to turn us into some communist country. We are a society. Society has the word society come from social.
In other words, you've got a lot of explaining to do.
And I don't mind explaining. The problem that we have right now is for the unexplainers, the decouplers from reality, and that's the fight that we have.
That was a Ricky Ricardo reference, by the way.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you got a lot of explaining to do. Imagine her explaining healthcare.
I love that. Thank you, Jeff.
The reason why I called on Trump versus the Obamas.
Yes.
He's been in office 3 weeks as of tomorrow.
Right.
Think about the past 8 years, all the crap that the Obamas had to put up with. Have you ever heard of either Barack or Michelle running to the courthouse at every slight, every offense, every slander, every libel?
No.
And how did the First Lady spend her time? On health and wellness awareness.
Right.
And on encouraging people to learn how to grow their own vegetables. Mm-hmm. And the fun of eating your own vegetables and cooking your own vegetables. Now, what is this First Lady doing? She's her first 2-3 weeks as the First Lady.
In New York.
She's suing for libel because she's so offended.
Right.
And her husband goes on tweeting about that instead of worrying about serious crap. And Ivanka, I thought she decided she wasn't going to
run the company, right?
Jewelry and clothing and all this other stuff. But she's still doing it.
Now, Johnny, I want to say it's worse.
So
Johnny, it's worse. Let me tell you. Kellyanne Conway went on to Fox News. I blogged about this a few hours ago. Kellyanne Conway goes on to Fox News, and she goes tell the people on Fox News, I'm doing a free commercial for Ivanka. Go buy Ivanka. She's online as well. She goes on Fox News for an interview on our country, and she goes and she advertised Ivanka's line on Fox News. She doesn't only do that, but she goes ahead and say, and please go buy her product. I'm going to buy later on today. I'm going to buy Ivanka's products. Can you believe that? That is what our White House has become. So, Johnny, I got to go to... first of all, hold on a second. Let me just say, folks, we do have lines open, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I need to go to a quick break. So, Johnny, close me real quick before I go to the break.
Yeah, another attack that people on the street when they're protesting with their beautiful signs, lots of interesting and funny witticisms. Another thing they can do is when Ivanka or what's her face, the Conway or con job goes on and says stuff like that.
Right.
Have that quote up on a sign, and then another sign right next to it. Contrast that with, say, a photograph of kids fleeing Syria, and all this other crap that's going on.
Absolutely.
The result of our foreign policy, because Trump even admits to it.
Absolutely.
And then ask Trump what's he going to do about it.
You're absolutely right, sir. So look,
Stop hawking jewelry.
I appreciate your call, Johnny. Okay, I appreciate your call.
Stay left.
Absolutely.
Far left.
Take care, brother. All right, let's go. Do we go to a station break now, or do we? Okay, let's go to a quick station break.
Thank you, Egberto. Okay, it is currently 71 degrees and abundant sunshine here in the heart of Montrose. It feels like 70 degrees. And, clear skies tonight with a low around 52 and cloudy with a slight chance of rain tomorrow, about 20%, and a high near 76. And let's take a brief look at our towers in Galveston. It is clear and 71. Huntsville is a clear 66. And if we take a glance at our roadways on the West Loop northbound at the Southwest Freeway, there's an accident involving 4 vehicles that is affecting that's right by the Southwest Freeway and backing up traffic in that general area. I think that just came in. And on the Southwest Freeway inbound, there's a disabled vehicle blocking the exit ramp at Kirby. Traffic is backed up to Westland. Accident cleared on the North Loop eastbound at Shepherd Drive. Traffic remains backed up to Evergreen. And it's a little bit of delay on the North Freeway outbound from Telephone all the way out to Tidwell. Let's look your afternoon commute. I'm Shannon McCurdy. You're listening to KPFT Houston. Back to you, Egberto.
Muchísimas gracias, mi hermana. Okay, let's go to line number 6 with Gary. Come on in, Gary.
Hey, good afternoon.
Talk to me, sir.
I had a couple of things for you. You talked about healthcare regulations this morning, and generally I'd like to just pass a thought experiment through you and ask your readers to do this, your listeners to do the same thing, because the term regulation is really something that's been co-opted or framed by the corporations and businesses to mean something that limits freedom and to basically do whatever they want.
Yes.
And whoever they want to harm. Regulation has been co-opted. But from an experiment point of view and from a public perspective or from a consumer perspective, every time you see the word regulation, just replace it with protection.
Thank
you. So just read through any kind of news report, and when you see people talking about regulation, change it to protections, because that is a consumer perspective, not a corporate perspective.
You know something?
They're not mutually exclusive, but it is a way of reframing it to kind of get the conversation into what regulation has really come to mean.
Excellent. Look, I love that. That is a very, very good point, Gary, and I don't think I could have said it any better. So thank you very much for that thought. Okay.
Well, one quick other thing, when you're talking about how to bring people together,
yes,
which is obviously easier said than done.
Yes.
But there was an article that's been passed around. It's on theatlantic.com. It's called How to Build an Autocracy.
I read that, yes.
Yes, and the point that the fellow makes, who is a Republican, by the way.
Yes, David Fromm.
Yeah, the two main points he makes is, what is 2 things that everyone can get together and agree about? 1, Republicans and Democrats and independents and you name it. 1, what did Russia have to do with this election? How did Russia interfere with our election? We need to press our Congress people continually to say, you need to probe this. We need to find out exactly what happened in this last election. We need to know. No excuses. No excuses. We need to know. Secondly, what taxes did Donald Trump pay? Why is that important? Because we cannot have any kind of benchmark as to what wealth he has when he leaves the office, whenever that is, unless we know how much wealth he had when he came into office. And unless he releases his tax returns, which, by the way, from what I read, Congress can force him to do, then we'll never know what he did when he was in charge of the government,
Gary?
The executive part of the government. So.
Gary, thank you so kindly. I mean, those are wise words. I have to go to the other calls because our lines are filling up again.
I bet.
Now, you have a wonderful day, okay?
Hey, thanks a bunch.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to John. We're going to have to limit this now to 45 seconds. John, come on in.
Yeah, okay. How you doing, Egberto?
Talk to me, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to mention some things. You're talking about the ACA.
Yes, sir.
Some things that Republicans always talk about is that, you know, how everything, the inflation is so high and how the rates are so high. Bernie mentioned this several times in the debate, but the inflation rate, medical inflation rate, has gone down since the ACA has been put into place. We had a slight blip this year, but I mean, still, overall, the rates are lower. I mean, this is just a fact. This is easy to look up. Also, 87% of people get subsidies. 87%. So those top 13%, are paying fairly high rates, and I agree with that. But I mean, the other 87% are being subsidized, and their plans are overall, highly affordable, and this is not being talked about enough.
You're absolutely correct, and this is a clip that I am going to cut out of this video and put it up there on YouTube, because what you've just said, John, is very important. I want to remind you, however, as an addition, that what we must do in addition to giving those facts is show how this relates to people in their everyday lives, because that is what we have not been good at. So thank you very much for that information, John.
All right. So just remember 30 million people, according to the Urban Institute, will lose their health insurance. And like the price plan, which is a 242-page plan, which Obama vetoed last year, which is the only real plan that they have right now. These people are going to, massive amounts of people are going to lose their insurance, and they don't have any way to get insurance back. And it does have a pre-existing condition method to where if you don't have insurance for over 18 months,
you're hosed. I know. Yes.
Right.
Thank you very much, John. I got to go, but look, you keep it going, buddy. All right. Let's go to line number 2. Buck, come on in with the alternative or another point of view, my friend. Buck, you're on. Buck, you're on. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now, Buck.
Oh, yeah, my name is Doug, not Buck.
Oh, Doug. Come on in, Doug. I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah, I've been listening to your program for a little while. I'd like to get a little bit of alternative opinions on things.
Absolutely. Come on in.
I'd like to know why you feel that healthcare doesn't follow normal marketplace rules.
Yeah, I will tell you why. Because, I mean, if you're one of the folks that believe that life really matters, and that if you also believe, and again, let me back up a bit. The reason I believe healthcare doesn't follow the market methodology, first of all, is whereas when you buy a bar of soap, when you buy a can of beans, if you go to H-E-B and you don't like the price, you can shop around and go to another store and buy something. However, if you break a leg and that truck comes to pick you up, there is not the wherewithal within that person's both from a fact-based reason and also from a point of view that they are stressed at that time to make a logical choice as far as shopping around for service, etc., etc. Third, the way we pay for healthcare right now is via insurance, several insurance companies, and all these insurance companies, as profit centers, must create what's known as risk management, so that they can choose the people that they bring into their plan, so that they can continue to make a profit. One must ask, when we allow when as a society we bring in profits, we assume that profits are provided because there's added value to what is the service given. Insurance companies in the healthcare domain do not provide a service. They provide a process in which to create a market that allows them to skim monies from premiums, because, again, the entire country is a risk pool. If you substrate the risk pool, you're only doing that so that independent entities within that risk pool have a way of making profit from the illness of other folks. Thank you, sir.
Hey, well, I have a little bit of experience from the other side. For the last 13 years,
Sure.
I've had government health care. And
what is government health
they
care,
have
sir?
the same mentality as insurance companies.
Yes,
They have a risk pool, and they have a ration pool, and,
Yes.
and they do have a triage method
Yes.
of determining who gets what.
You're right.
And what care.
You're right.
It doesn't matter what large organization is running something that complicated. They are going to find a way to divvy up who's going to get health care and why. One's profit motive, and one is trying to stay within a budget of taxation.
And that's where I wanted to go. And you know what, sir? You're absolutely right, and I'm not disputing that at all. But remember one thing. If the risk pool is the entire...
3 minutes left.
Thank you, sir. If the risk pool is the entire American society, right? That means everybody is in that one big risk pool. As a society, we can decide how much in our taxes we want to take care of the health care of the entire America. When we have private companies who partition the market and also reward themselves based on partitioning the market for the excess profits or the excess, the excesses over the premiums that they maintain, that reduces the amount of that totality that goes into healthcare. My point being, you're correct that the government as well has to make trade-offs. Do we give everybody absolutely best insurance, best coverage, or do we negotiate what we call a baseline? I am for negotiating what we call a baseline, but we have one risk pool, and that one risk pool becomes everything else. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, have you thought for maybe the reason why healthcare is so expensive?
Yes, I have.
And the truth is healthcare is way more expensive than a lot of countries I've been to, even ones that don't subsidize their care. I've been to Indonesia, I've been to Thailand. And their healthcare is very cheap because they don't have insurance companies. People pay cash for their health care, and it forces doctors to actually lower their prices.
Doug, I'm hot on time.
They wouldn't have patients.
Doug, I'm hot on time, but this subject requires me to have this call again, and I want you to call because we need to talk more about it, especially from somebody with your point of view, okay? And I want to read something here. Congress is who gives insurance companies the big increases when the companies make one excuse or another. It isn't hospitals, doctors, or medical suppliers, or manufacturers, or patients, but patients pay it all, plus the huge profits. That is from one of our members here at KPFT. Let's really quickly, I got to go quickly to Tag, and then we got to end the show. Tag, real quick.
Yeah, I just think that we have to give Elizabeth Warren some credit for what she did in Congress last night.
Yes.
Exactly. And then the other thing about health care is that people don't compute the fact that if somebody goes to the hospital and gets care and they don't have insurance, the other people who have insurance, their rates are going to go up anyway.
Right, I mentioned that in the blog.
So that's really the worst part about this. Without everybody being covered, the ones who are covered are going to have to pay more. The insurance companies pay more anyway. That's why we need everybody to be covered.
You're absolutely right, Tag. Thank you for calling the show. You have, this has been a wonderful show, and we have to do this. I don't know if I'll do it the next show again, but we have to keep this on because our people are not completely informed as they should on this issue of critical importance to them. Look, this is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies. Please go to the webpage, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies, and like that page. Make sure that we can notify you when these programs are going to be on, and also go ahead and follow Egberto Willies on Twitter. Look, guys, I really appreciate your ears. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. You have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.